Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming. My name is Hollow and this is a Monster Hunter video. My first one in a while, and this is a special one because incredibly I've been able to play Sunbreak a little bit early. So a huge thank you to Capcom because they invited us to go out and try an early version of the expansion and fight some specific monsters and try some of the new stuff. Together, myself and Josh were able to hunt both Lunagaron and Saragios, which was very fun, but then on top of that, we're able to try a bunch of the new weapons and all of the new abilities, like being able to switch your skills mid-combat. As a reminder though, the footage you see in this video is from a pre-release build, so things may change from that version to the one we end up playing at release. And in this video, you'll be seeing footage from Josh's perspective as we play out various two-player hunts against Lunagaron. So in this footage, you'll see Hunter 2, that's me. Let's start with that new combat then, which is absolutely wild. It's not what I expected at all. If you're unaware, in Sunbreak, you're going to be able to swap between two combat loadouts mid-fight, referred to as scrolls in-game. So you've got a blue scroll and a red scroll, and you basically swap between those two by simply holding your wirebug button, ZL on a Nintendo controller, and then pressing X and A together at the same time. You will swap between the scrolls and therefore swap skill loadouts while fighting. You can even follow that up with a roll, which will do this really cool flip evade, letting you keep moving while you make that swap. Going in, I thought there'd be a long cooldown on that kind of skill to swap between your abilities. Something like maybe every 30 seconds or longer. As it turns out, there is literally no cooldown. It just costs a bit of stamina each time you do it. So you're able to permanently swap between two combat loadouts, which are more than just silkbind attacks, don't forget. In your blue scroll, you could have your base combos and abilities as one sort of thing, and then in your red scroll, a completely different set. Genuinely, this was hard to get my head around in the first 20 minutes of playing or so. I was playing with Longsword, and I was using a different counter, which meant I couldn't use the normal EI counter. And then I was reminded, like, you know, you could just swap to the scroll, and then you'll have your EI sheath again. It's really easy to forget, but it's something we're definitely going to have to get used to. Here's a really good example. Take the dual blades. In Rise, you have the ability to use your regular attack evades while, say, using piercing bind and the counter silk binds. Now, you could swap these out at, say, a 10 or outside the hunt to make your attack evade maybe a downward slam, which would leap you up into the air, and that's great against certain aerial monsters. Now, I can run both of these setups at the same time, easily able to swap between them depending on what monster I'm fighting and what it's currently doing, giving me the option for optimal DPS no matter what situation I'm in, which feels awesome. What's difficult about it is changing your base combos and what you need in each moment, when it's not as clear as, say, you run a ground setup and an aerial setup like that. Therefore, the skill cap of Rise is going to skyrocket based on this mechanic alone, and it gives us so much potential and possibilities, which is very exciting. And the fact that it's only limited by stamina and not like a cooldown, again, that's so insane. You might be wondering though, looking at this footage, like, what's all that stuff at the bottom of the screen? That's the two scrolls we have and the things that are bound or tied to that scroll. Our first question was, hey, can we hide that? Because it's a lot on the screen. And it seemed like that would be an option. But to be honest, as I played more and more, I really needed it on the screen to help me pay attention to what I have and what I'm currently on. Now, when it comes to new combos and silkbind attacks for each weapon, it's hard for me to talk with certainty. We were given a pre-made loadout that often featured at least one of the new mechanics, combos or silkbinds or otherwise. So the loadout I was running with dual blades felt very familiar, but effective with a couple of new options, like that new attack dodge combo, the slide slash, basically letting me evade smoothly to the side and forward around a target. That felt very smooth and straightforward. And then you have the spiral slash. Not only does that look cool, but it's really effective. You can pull up from the ground and slam into the monster for lots of damage suddenly, or you can pull while mid-air, which brings you diagonally down to the target. Now, the distance you use this at will matter though, because if you do it from too far, you just kind of go flying over the monster awkwardly and miss. But overall, I think it felt really good, like a mobile way to suddenly get some burst damage out, and reliable damage for mounting. And then I could swap to my other scroll and then use piercing bind instead for proper burst damage when the monster's like knocked down or stunned. Another weapon I used in my time was the insect glaive. Sadly, we don't have footage of that since Josh didn't get a chance to try it, but let me tell you, it felt really good. The new silkbind, the awakened kinsect, that is insane. You throw a kinsect where you're aiming, and then it pierces through the target. So the longer the target, the more pierce time, the more ridiculous damage. And then after you dash forward and do even more damage with a follow-up. The trade-off is that it consumes all of your current extracts, but you do get one back on the hit depending on where you actually struck. The damage is so worth it though. While the aerial movement was really nice. It felt like I was a dragoon or something when using that kinsect slash, shooting forward like a missile, and you get to absorb an extract with it, which is really nice. It makes the insect glaive in general feel much more aggressive, and I am genuinely considering playing it properly in Sunbreak after playing it. Another weapon I got to try though, the longsword. This is a complicated one. I can't say with too much confidence exactly how it works because I only had the one try with it. Harvest Moon, that new silkbind, that creates a circle in which you're super strong. So your spirit is suddenly infinite, so you can just be spamming timing out your full combo and leveling up permanently, which is awesome. But then also your counterattacks are going to do extra hits while in that circle. However, the circle did seem to be cancelled by certain actions, possibly when I sheath and possibly when I helm break. So it's not like unlimited power, it's just really good. And then when it came to the sacred sheath combo, we weren't able to properly get footage or try that. Essentially, you hold a position and harness your spirit and then unleash a cool looking attack. But I wish I'd had more time to experiment with that. Those were the weapons I had a chance to use for the Lunagaron version of the game we played. I'm definitely looking forward to more time with all of the weapons though. But how important is this new freedom and options actually going to be? Why do we need this much power? Obviously, Sunbreak is going to be the master rank version of Rise, and with that, the challenge is going to go up. Not just with how much you might be putting in terms of skill with maximizing your weapon now, but of course the challenge of the monsters. Which brings me to the main event of this footage really, Lunagaron. Luna was absolutely awesome, and also not exactly what I was expecting. Much bigger actually than I was imagining. Luna feels really intelligent. It's making proper use of the frost powers in like a variety of attacks. While we do see familiar like Garon flips and jumps, the attacks weave in a lot of those ice effects, right? So there's a charge and sort of ice effects as that goes off, or flips where it drops ice from up high like Basil. A bigger, weightier Garon, basically. But things change when it gets that ice mantle. Much like Velkhana or Gosarag, when the ice is equipped, they're obviously going to be more deadly. The movement and the pace of attacks was completely different at this point, where Luna's standing up on the hind legs and sort of towering over you. Now it's a bit more heavy, like the staggering slams and the swipes with their front claws. This phase is really scary because it doesn't really matter whether you're away from the monster or not, it can suddenly turn and just be on you, easily zipping to your location with a strike or like a leaping slam. And Luna will still go to like all fours for short periods as a mix-up. Even scarier though, when enraged, we saw Luna breathe out frost breath in like a cone, or that ultimate stand-up attack where we're swiping fast and stepping forward huge distances each swing, which is a long combo that you just will not survive if you get hit by all of it. It reminds me a bit of Azuros, you know, that stand-up swipe combo, but a bit more effective. Fortunately, just like Velkhana and Goss when ice mantle, we can break that ice, and that'll send Luna back to the original state, as you may have imagined. We were able to manage Luna with our main weapons of Greatsword and Dual Blades, no real problem, but it certainly didn't go smoothly the moment we tried anything we weren't very confident with. We definitely carded a lot. Overall though, I absolutely loved Lunagaron. Without a doubt my favorite of the wolf monsters that I've fought in Monster Hunter so far. Now, obviously in this footage you're seeing us play on the new map, the Citadel, which has a nice amount of variety to it if you've not seen it in the trailers. All on one map, you've got these 3 different regions and atmospheres. The Citadel itself, it's like a huge cathedral structure, and that's on the east side of the map, and that's kind of Malzeno's area. Then to the north is the ice region, which is much higher up. You might expect to find Lunagaron around there. And then to the west, our much greener area for Grangolm. However, the monsters aren't going to stay in their own areas, of course. We can find them all over the map. The map, though, does remind me a bit of Guiding Lands, but with the new design for Rise, in which we can climb up and around everything, right, using the wirebooks. With that in mind, the map is this nice oval shape, so it feels very easy to get around, and it's not like you're going to get lost, which is very nice. But there are some cave systems to, like, add an underlayer. Aesthetically, I really appreciate that the map has this visual variety. At night, right, everything has this deep, spooky purple tint to it, giving the land a very intense feeling. But in daytime, it's a lot brighter and clearer. It feels totally different. Structurally, I think the Citadel is the thing that stands out the most. It reminds me a bit of Iceborne's Castle Schrade, you know, with Fatalis. However, this is a clearer, darker vibe to it, like vampire themed. Those huge high walls that loom over you wherever you are. The open windows letting you see out the pink sky or the blue sky, depending on what time of day it is. I'm definitely going to take my time and wander around this map because there's definitely secrets around there that we didn't have time to explore. But yeah, that's everything and all the time I really have to talk about this for the Citadel, Lunagaron, and of course the new combat mechanics. We've been under careful instruction for these videos, so we feel very lucky to be able to give you an early look while trying to follow these guidelines. So a massive thank you to the people from Capcom who gave us this opportunity. It was very cool to be acknowledged in any way, but then get to actually go try it was insane. There's going to be a lot more Sunbreak on the channel in the coming days and weeks, so keep a lookout for more. And it's been very nice for me to finally talk Monster Hunter again in a video. And a shout out to Jono because we had an awesome day. Thank you, man. Until next time though, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.